This conference will now be recorded.
All right. So, yeah, last time we saw change management, but it didn't work due to some issue, data issue, right? So, let me go quickly to the change management. Change, create new. All right. So, there are three kinds of change. I told you one is emergency, one is normal, one is standard. Standard change will have some templates associated with it. These are the out of the box templates. This sample is the one I created for testing. I'll show you how to do that. All right. So these are pre-approved templates. A standard change will use a pre-approved template, and hence when we create a new change as a standard change, it won't ask us for any approval. So it won't go for any kind of approval because the template that has been attached to the change request has been pre-approved. And that's the reason why it won't go for any kind of approval. Now, what are the other two? Emergency. Emergency change will go for cap approval. That also something we are going to see. Okay. Normal change is the one that goes through both the approvals. Okay. So that one would be cap and one would be assessment. Okay, I'll show you. So if I do like this, create a new change, the system would ask me what kind of change needs to be created. Suppose I do it as normal change. Hope you remember what did I say last time? See, what is a change? Any infrastructural change in the organization is called a change. Okay, for example, I want to replace a network device in my organization. It is not something I can go and replace it right away. There will be a huge impact, right? There are lots and lots of CIs dependent on that network device. A hub, a router, a network switch, RAM upgrade. Is it something I can do it overnight like RAM upgrade? If I do it without any kind of discussion with the dependent teams, see, RAM is being used by some server. Suppose Tomcat server. Many applications are hosted on that server. If I go and replace the RAM, everything will be down. System have to be restarted, rebooted, right? So there will be a huge impact. So are we discussing these impacts? Are we doing analysis on these changes with anyone? No. So change management makes sure the change request goes through all these stages. CAB approval, impact analysis, everything. Justification for the change, why it is required, right? So infrastructural change, if it needs to be managed smoothly, we use change management module. Okay. So first kind of change, normal change. It will have two kinds of approvals. Let's see. This is the change ID. Okay, requested by, and these are the informations. See, justification, why the change is required. Okay, so I will say as Tomcat upgrade, justification. Out of support. Implementation plan. Step number one, what needs to be done? Step number two, what needs to be done? Step number three, take a backup. Config files. Anything it can be. The Tomcat guy knows more about it, right? We will just take sample steps. So take backup of old directory structure of Tomcat. Perform upgrade. Reboot. It can be anything and number of steps, detailed steps. The technical guy who is going to upgrade the Tomcat would know much about it. Okay. We would not know much about it as we are the developers. We are not support people. Okay. We don't take care of Windows activities and server activities. Okay. Risk and impact analysis. So see, enter potential risk and impact associated with this change. Potential risk. If I upgrade Tomcat, what would be the risk? What would be the impact? Okay, to the analysis. Include impact details if the change implementation is unsuccessful. So, if successful, it will resolve Tomcat slowness issue. Unsuccessful, impact dependence or around 10 customers using the services hosted on this server. All right, these are the analysis. Okay, what else? Yeah, these are the risks. If it is unsuccessful, so and so things will be happen. What is the backout plan? Means roll back. If unsuccessful, roll it back. Replace the old directory structure. Okay. Replace the new directory structure with old one. Restart system. Communicate. Change. Failure. And there may be many more steps. In case if it is successful, how would you test it? So we cannot directly tell the end user or the customers to check. Initially, after implementing the change request, we test it. The technical guy would test it if everything is working fine, right? So as per that, we can tell like tester to hit the application URL to make sure the slowness issue is resolved. Can be anything. Now, what would be the schedule? Initially, when we come up with the idea of a change, like a change needs to be created for the organization to resolve certain issue, right, or upgrade something or anything. We initially come with some tentative dates. Okay, those are plan start date. Let it be like it hanged. Okay, let it be like 9th. Today I want to do a change, and it will be resolved on 10th. So I am specifying these dates. Actual start date 11, 12. These can be updated later because once we submit the change with these tentative dates, there will be discussions going around, right? no one will agree at that moment, right? It is not like today I have initiated some change with some date and immediately overnight it will be taken. No, right? Until it is an emergency change, which I'll show you. So after few days, when the dates are freezed, we can put this date, actual start date and date. Okay, this can be done later as well. Okay, so give a description, something, Tomcat update. Tomcat update, anything. Assign to some change management group. Let's see, now we have good data over here. That day there were many challenges, so it was not happening. Hopefully today we won't face any kind of challenge. I'll keep it handy. I copied this. So now once I submit this record, let's see if it allows us to submit, or if we have missed out something, it should prompt us. Okay, fine. It has been submitted. Do we have any approval over here? Let us scroll down. No, obvious, because we haven't requested the approval yet. Haven't requested for the approval. Let us request. Then it should go into assess. Yes. And then you will see a message like this. Assessment change is waiting for approval. The implementer team, someone from the implementer team is going to approve the change. See, in that team, we had a change manager. That's the reason it has gone to the change manager. Let us approve like this. I am an admin. I have privileges to approve it right from here. Otherwise, I showed you we have to go to my approvals. Ideally, if it goes to suppose Kalyani, okay, so this is admin. I will log in as Kalyani, or Kalyani will log in using her credentials. She will go to, let me copy this, otherwise I lose it. Control C. She will go to my approval here, here, anything. Just click on all. She will get it over here, and then she will approve it after opening the record. Example, this is a record, and this is how we approve or reject it. All right. So same way, whoever the approval goes to, the person will go to my approvals, person will log in, person will go to this, and approve it. All right. So now let us go back to our change request. Open. Ours was Control V. Yes, here we are. And we will approve it from here. Remember, see the first approval. This is a normal change, right? A normal change. It will go through two types of approvals. Assessment, it will go for approval initially. Someone from the implemented team, the change manager, would approve it, and done. Cool. See the accelerator. This is done. Now again, authorize. But for authorized stage as well, there is an approval. What kind of approval? That is CAB approval, change as advisory board, right? So in change advisory board, there are few approval. Anyone can approve it. Okay. So let us do like this. There are 7 approvers. Select randomly anyone. Anyone can approve, and the request will be approved. Let's see. Yes, and this has been scheduled. Now, when we say it is scheduled, now going forward, we can update this. Actually, we updated this initially. Initially, it would be blank. If we know what would be the date, we can put. But in schedule phase, we need to make sure we have a proper actual and end date, actual start and end date, right? So it's been scheduled. Now, who is going to work on it? Anyone from change management. Let it be like this. Okay, this person is going to work. This person is the implementer. Okay, now this is just scheduled. No one has started implementation. Okay, now this person will work once this is in implement phase. All right. Now at this particular date and time, what particular date and time? This date and time, the engineer will start upgrading the Tomcat after taking proper backup. That engineer will refer to this plan. Where is that plan? Implementation plan. As per this plan, he should be able to upgrade the Tomcat. All right. So after doing this, it will go to, once it is done, it will be reviewed by someone, some senior, right? It will be in reviewed stage. And then after doing the initial sanity and all, if everything is working fine, going ahead, we can take confirmation from the user if from the stakeholders or business people if the slowness issue has been resolved. Once they confirm, we can close the change. Now let us see. Good. It is asking us to put the close code and close notes. Same way that, right, we saw for incident. The close code and close notes, closure information. It is present over here. Successful. Close note. Tomcat upgrade done successfully and close. Done. New close. Number of approvals 2. First approval assess. Second approval authorize. 2 approvals. Now the journey is over. Let us see the other one. Create new. We saw this emergency change. Let us see. Okay, you see the same thing, correct? So let's not waste time putting the same information, right? So here I'll just put a sample, Control A, Control C, and impact analysis, backout plan, test plan, and I will save it with initial schedule. Like, let it be like this, 10, and let us, as soon as I submit this, let us see what happens. Would we see request approval button the same we saw for the other kind of change? Yes, we do. But if I click on this, would it go to assessment approval or no? Let us check. Let me copy this, it will be handy. Yeah, request. Wow, it gave an error. So before requesting, it is but obvious we should have the change assigned to some group. Right now, let us see, does it throw more errors? No. Directly went for cab approval. This is bypassed. That's the difference. Interview question. What is the difference between a normal change and an emergency change? An emergency change will go through one approval, that is cab approval. See, now if you see, The people, they are from cab group. So once I approve this, it should go to scheduled immediately. So a single approval, correct? Now I'll make sure the dates are correct. Anything 11, 12, and done. I'll take it as implement on this date. Cool. Now someone is implementing. Who is that someone? Let's give that someone. We don't have sufficient data. Let it be this person. I'll update. Now this person will implement the change. When? On the agreed dates that we have specified, actual date. And after that, once the implementation has been done, it will be in review stage for a few days to observe if the issue has been resolved, or if whatever we did, replaced a network switch and all, are we getting any kind of surprise issues, any bug is popping up. We will, that's why, review it for a few days, post which we will close it. Close code and information, that is we know, right? This is how we implement change, and that is closed. We saw emergency, one approval. We saw standard, right? Sorry, a normal, two approvals. Now the third one is a standard change. What is it about? Create new, pre-approved. So see the difference in the look and feel. More or less the things remain same. This is Quebec. I'm going to Paris. I do the same thing. Change, create new. More or less it remains the same. But see how it presents. It gives me the options like this. Paris over here. It gives me the option like this. Pre-approved over here. Rest over here. So don't get confused. Just the change in versions. Right? And if I come here and go here, these are pre-approved templates. This is a custom templates I just created a few minutes back. I'll show you how to do that. So in short, these are pre-approved. When we create a change using any one of these templates, it's done. It will go to schedule, implement, review, close. No approvals. Why? Because we have taken the approval in advance. So when do we create such types of change? Routine activities, Tomcat restart once in a fortnight basis, every fortnight in 15 days, 2 weeks. Routine activity, so that we make sure the Tomcat is running fine, or any kind of activity. Deletion of logs from a server, that's a routine activity. Correct. So first, go to my proposal to create a template. This is the sample template that I showed you, which was existing. We will create our own. This is a template, and you will see it has got almost the same fields. See, change request value, short description, this, that, right? Let us give some short description, or let it be like sample, control C, control V, control A, control V, control A, control V. All right. Now give some name to the template. Anything. Swapnil template. All right. Template description, let it be the same. Control C. and Control V. Next, if I try to submit this right away, let it be. If I submit it right away, what will happen? Hmm. It has been submitted. We can see it as a record. If I go to my proposal, I can see it as a record over here, Swapnil template. Open it. It hasn't been approved yet. I will have to get it approved. Let us see. Yes. Give a category. Okay. Now, request for approval. See, one more error. Assignment group, justification, risk, impact analysis. Make sure the request values are provided. These are here. So we have failed. Yes, justification is something we have kept blank. Let us give it. Assignment group, we have kept blank. It is mandatory. Give it. And this is also something we would need. And now, if I again click on this, what would happen? Went for approval, I believe. So now it has gone for approval. This is not a change request. This is a template we have created for a standard change. So that while creating a standard change like change, create new, there are options. When I click on standard, it will present me all the possible templates that I have for creating that kind of change. So let us approve this. Approve. Hanged. Approved. All right. Now I should be able to see this. When I do like this, create new.
Pankaj, in the change template, we have any concept like authoring group or it will visible to all?
We'll come to that. Let's see. I don't think it is there, though. Let us see. Okay.
Okay.
Let us
Yeah.
create a change. We'll go back to that. So, as I have clicked on this standard change, I can see Swapnil template over here, pre-approved. Once I select this, you will see all the information automatically filled in from the template, right? The assignment group automatically filled in. So what do I have to do with this? I have to save. Okay, save. But then, does it have any request approval button over here? No, because this type of change is pre-approved and won't go through any more approval. In advanced, we have taken the approval through template, approved template. So now right away schedule it. Yes, and then give the dates and all and implement it. The person given over here will implement the change. Then it will be reviewed. We already know. And then it will be closed with the notes. We will give the closer information and all. And then it will be closed. Blah, 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 anything. And close. These are the three types of change. Okay, now someone asked a question. Do we have any kind of authoring group? Let us see. I don't think it is there. Then also It is generic. Related proposal, approval, change task templates. We don't have any permission. These are all the possible fields that we see while creating the approval. Assigned to this, that, hardware category. No, at this level, we don't have any. Who asked that question?
Yeah, myself, Lokesh.
Yeah, there is no such thing like authoring group or anything. I think we
Okay, okay.
have it in, yeah, BMC remedy. We do have it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Here
correct.
or at this level, we don't have it.
So I think we
Okay.
also don't have any, we can don't relate any task over the template, right? Or do we
Task.
have?
Task will be there. Let us
Yeah,
open one of the chain.
no, in the change template, predefined task.
Okay, let us go back. Existing one. Change task template is there. Let us see what is it. Yeah,
Yeah, we have.
so change task templates are there. So let's see. Okay. We cannot create one from here, I believe. So yeah, we will have to check how to create that change task template. I'll tell you later in the next session or tomorrow. I'll tell you about this. What is this? How can we create it? All right. Don't worry about this. We'll come to that. All right. So this way we created the change, and three types of change were created. We drive them to closure, right? And that's about overview of change management. Overview of incident management, problem management, change management, their life cycle, right? This is how it is. And then there is something called knowledge management. Knowledge. So, okay, let me check quickly before we move to task SLA change task 3. Okay. So, Lokesh, from here we can create the change task. Okay. But what is the purpose of task template over here? That is something we have to explore. So I'll tell you what is it about later. Okay. At least we
Okay,
know
okay.
in change management how to create the task. Yeah. All right. So now a different topic, knowledge management. Uh, Imagine.
Pankaj, in the service now, do we support
Mhm.
just like a latent change, expedite change, or do we support only three, these three?
These are the only three. These are the only
Okay,
three. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now imagine a service desk agent creates a ticket on behalf of some end user or a customer. The ticket is logged. Someone works on that ticket. It might happen that the service desk agent is not much technically aware of the issue, but what if we give that user access to the knowledge base so that he can, based on the keywords, he can quickly find out, right? He can have access to the knowledge base, the solution. So possible solution can be communicated to the end user, certain steps to resolve the issue, so that the user can perform the steps and resolve the issue by himself. Okay. So we have a knowledge base. We create knowledge articles in it. Okay. So at any point of time, we can search in the knowledge base. From the portal, we can go to the knowledge base and search. We will see a new article. We will create a new article. It will go through approvals. Once it is published, it will be visible on the portal. I'll show you how to do that. So, knowledge. Knowledge articles. Create new. Okay. So, here there would be lots and lots of data. Let us do one thing. Let us keep it simple. I'll go to Cubex, switch over to Cubex. This is my Cubex instance. I'll go to knowledge, create new. Okay. Select the knowledge base. This is IT is the knowledge base which is placed on service portal. See, like this. How to open the service portal? What is a service portal? It's a web-based interface, a kind of website given by ServiceNow, right? From where the users can raise incidents, search for knowledge articles, right? Raise catalog items, request for catalog. See, I will type SP. Hit. SP means service portal. This is how it looks. ServiceNow service portal for ITSM. See, remember, ServiceNow provides lots and lots of application. One of them is ITSM. It can be CSM, customer service management. It can be HR, human resource. It can be anything, right? It can be a custom application. In that case, we will have a custom portal over here. So what is this SP? If I go here, service portal, and like this portal, leave. I don't want to save it. See, ours is this, and this is the suffix. Same way for knowledge portal, it is KB. For Workbench, it is CAB, MSCP. And if I have created a new portal, I'll do new. I want to create a new portal. I'll click on new. I'll give my own prefix, and that's how it will be. So while hitting from the browser, I'll have to give my suffix over there. This is default given by ServiceNow, so we can use it for ITSM. In my old instance, that is Paris, I have enabled CSM as well. So if we see over here, these many, let us see after enabling CSM, what all portals we can see. Where is that service portal? See, so for customer service management, it would have created, see, CSM, customer support portal. So what I can do, I can take this Paris instance, Control C. I can go here, new tab, Control B, CSM. It will display the CSM portal. It is coming up, spinning, loading, and done. This is for CSM. Okay, so it differs, all depends on what all things have been designed, right? Close it, come back to knowledge. I wanted to show you that this is portal, this is knowledge. Click. This is how we can access knowledge articles. See, when I say this is knowledge base, IT, email, all these things, these are categories under the knowledge base. Okay, IT that we have selected while creating the knowledge article is the knowledge base. This whole left hand side is the base, knowledge base. So what are these? Under that knowledge base, we have categories. Categories, okay. If I select email, under email category, there are these many knowledge articles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. 8. See the figure over here. Similarly, for Outlook category, we have these many articles. Under Outlook, there is a subcategory which has got these articles. This is how the hierarchy is. I want to create my own knowledge article that would be displayed under, say, IT. Can we do like that? If I click on IT, it should display my article over here, right hand side. For that, I'll have to get it approved, lots of things I'll have to do. So let us create a knowledge article. I'm here. Quebec, make sure we don't mix up. Everything is Quebec. Knowledge. Create new. Where has it gone? Yeah, create new. It generated the knowledge ID, knowledge article ID. Okay. Why I'm selecting this? This is the default knowledge base ServiceNow has put on ITSM service portal. That's the reason I selected. Okay. Now, if I give anything like, okay, if I go to category, under the IT category, I showed you on the portal. IT, see, don't mix up. IT is also the knowledge base. Under it, we have one of the categories as IT. We also had emails and all. Let me show you like this. See, right? So under IT category, when I click on IT, I should see my knowledge article. So I will say Pankaj first knowledge article. Okay. Article body, anything. This article is created to help the user in troubleshooting Windows issue. Then we can give the explanation, the troubleshooting step. Step number 1, do this, do that, go to profile, go to control panel, do this, do that. Any steps. The Windows admin would be good enough to write on this. Okay. So after doing all these things, it is a piece of knowledge. I will submit it. Let me copy this. Control C. See, the content will be detailed in real time. It will explain the user how to troubleshoot a certain issue. Like it can be anything, Windows slowness, how to delete the logs, temp logs. We delete temporary logs from our system. We know it, but other users may not know it. So we will write go to Windows Explorer, type temp, go delete all the logs. If some of the logs are not getting deleted, skip them because they are in use. Anything, it can be anything. All right. If I submit this, submitted. But what next? This has just been submitted. I will have to publish it. Otherwise, it's of no use. We will publish. As soon as I click on this, ideally it should go for approval. Let's see. Where did it go? Yeah, it is this. It is in review stage. So do we have an approval? Yes. It has gone to approval. And why these people? Okay, let me show you. I will go here, our Quebec instance, same duplicate session. I will go to knowledge base. Knowledge administration, knowledge base. Where is our knowledge base that we selected? In that knowledge article, we selected IT, the default one for ITSM, which is there on the portal. See, it goes to the owner. If there is any manager, it will go for manager approval. If the article approval request will go to these people, managers and owners. And that's the reason it is like this. These people will log in and approve it. And once this is done, sorry, what did we do? We approved the article or something else? Approved article. Okay, cool. It is this. If it is published, see, automatically published after approval. Here you will see it as approved. So if it is published, I should be able to locate this article. I should be able to find this article on the portal. Can I? Let us give a try. How to open the portal? After .com/, remove everything, delete, delete all these things. SP, service portal, enter. Go to knowledge. I put it under, see, this is my knowledge base, IT. It contains so many categories. I put it under IT. Yes. And this is how my knowledge article looks. Click. And there we go. See, it is published, it is public. Anyone finds this helpful, we'll click on yes or no. We'll read the article. Useful, not useful, everything will, right? 90 views, this, that. This is a separate knowledge article, but this is how it is. So that's about knowledge. We can put validity as well when it is going to expire. Okay, let us go back. See, valid up to. We can keep a date. There will be time when we have to retire a knowledge article because it would be no longer applicable. There might be scenarios. In that case, because we now have a new knowledge article, so old one is of no use, we have to retire it. We have a brand new article. Okay, we can retire it like this. And for that as well, it will go for approval to the same people. Where did it go? Yeah, pending retirement. This is old entry approved. Now for retirement, it has gone for approval again. Approved. And the article is retired. So if it is retired, can I find it on the portal? Let us try to refresh it over here. Now, if I go back like this, go to knowledge, go to IT, gone, retired successfully. This is how the life cycle is. We create it, we publish, it goes for approval, the managers, owners approve it, and then it may retire, right? For a period of time, when it gets old, it will retire. For that also we have approval, right? So this is how it is. We saw change management, we saw knowledge management, we saw incident management, we saw problem management. So what's next? Tomorrow I'll show you SLA, service level agreement. Okay. So today we still have 1 hour, right? We will see some scripting. Last time we started with business rules, right? And
Pankaj,
then yes, yes.
before moving forward, can you please give us some introduction on the change approval, like from where we configure it, what are the type of approval available in the service now, like this?
Okay. For change management, we will have to learn workflows, which we will do it in coming session. See, I'll give you a hint. Knowledge management, change management. These are dependent on workflows. I'll show you. And each application have its own workflow. How this is going to this person, who is taking it to this person, workflow. Similarly, change request and when I submit, who is taking it to that person, workflow, workflow, workflow editor, workflow editor. See, change, normal change. What is the flow? Knowledge publish. What is the flow? Right? We will learn workflow. This is an advanced part. We will learn it later. We will create a new workflow for us. Okay, as an example so that you understand. See, workflow itself is a huge, huge part. See, these are out of the box workflows. Standard change, emergency change. If I open one of the workflow, let us filter change request emergency. Let us open emergency. Let me filter it out. Emergency change. Change request emergency. See, this is the thing that take it for approval. So there would be many activities under this, like these component, these boxes, right? Wait for condition change approval, wait for approval action. And if I open one of them, unauthorized change, set values, create task. Never try to modify this, right? It is recommended not to modify. Let us see. All right. Let me open it for knowledge so that you get an idea how it will be. Publish knowledge, publish. Do we have approval component over here? See, just an example. Similarly, we will have to find out a change workflow which will have these things. Begin for review stage, apply this approval, and it checks in the script. Get approver current. What is KB workflow? This is a library that ServiceNow has built. That library has n number of functions, of which get approvers is one of the functions. We pass the current knowledge record. Current means the record which we are submitting. That current record will be passed to this method of this library, this class. Okay, and it will get the approvers. From where? Then it will have its own logic. Go to the current records knowledge base, which is IT. Now I showed you, I opened IT knowledge base. In that who are the managers, who are the owners, all that logic to pull the owners and send the approval will be written in this function. This is how workflows guide all the flow. So for change management also, we would have similar types of flows designed to whom the approval should go. Everything will be decided dynamically. I would suggest one thing. Uh, Explore this. Go to workflow editor, explore this. Do change, open these things. Try to find out. Change request normal. It is like this. Yeah. This is bit advanced. I said we will do a workflow session later. Right after that, you will be able to understand. But on a high level design, check the components, where it is going, from where it is getting the values for the approval, right? What is approval action? Why it is waiting? Change approval policy. Go through all these things, and somewhere you will find, right, from where it is picking up the approval and why it is going to that person. Okay, we'll come to that. We have a lot of
Okay.
time. Right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
yeah. Now, where were we? What we were about to see business rules. Okay, fine. Close this. All right. We saw client scripts, UI level validations, and then we did some validations. There was on cell edit, there was on submit, right? On load. Then how about server side? If we have to do something like when a record is submitted in a table or a form, that record should also be pushed to an archive form, something like that. Pushing a record from one table to another. Is it possible using client script? No, right? So how to achieve this? We use glide functions. Glide system is a class given by ServiceNow. Okay, it contains many methods and number of methods. I'll show you what are the main methods, how do we use it, how do we play around with these glide records, scripting, coding. Let us see one example. We'll start with basic one, business rules. System definition, business rules. Like we do it for client script, we have business rules. Create new. First of all, what is our use case? If a record is created in Swapnil inventory table, where is it? This is Quebec, right? Let us get back to our instance, this one. Swapnil inventories. Now, if you recollect, what did we do in our last session? The use case was same, and then we faced some issue. My screen was stuck, and that's how it ended. Let's continue. I said we have a table, Swapnil inventory like this. We created a small table, Swapnil archive, if you remember. We put product description, product ID, and product name. And I told you I'll create a business rule to push records from this table to this table. As soon as a record is created on this table, it will be pushed to this table. So how can we achieve this? Using business rules? Let me show you. System definition, business rule, like this. New. coming up. Yes, I want to give some name to this, so I'll give it as, it has gone slow. Let me, yeah, it will be something like push to archive. Let it have this prefix so that we can identify it. Push to archive. All right. On what table I have to create the business rule? If I have to push from A to B, obviously I'll have to create the rule on A, table A. What is my table A? Source table, Swapnil application. So let me select it. And it is, it is this. All right. Click on advanced so that we can write a script. Checked. Now, I also told you these things. I was showing you all these things and it ended, right? See, before, after, async, display. Before business rule will run before the record is written to the table, to the database. If we want to check for anything, we can check. After, once the record is written to the database, do we have to perform anything? Yes, then do it. Keep it after. Async. I want to perform something which is not dependent on anything. I want to run anything. Okay, a web service consume part I have to write, which is not dependent on current activity. It can execute independently. I can use asynchronous call. Whatever I write in the code over here will execute asynchronously. Coming up. Yeah, this is the area where we write the code. Okay, when to run, we select it from here. Display business rule is something when I load a record. If I want to fetch something from server, I'll show you one example. If I want to fetch something, some value from a server, I'll use display business rule. There is a concept called scratchpad variable and all. I'll show you. First thing, after insert. After inserting record in this table, which table? Swapnil inventory. Remember, after insertion of a record in this table, I want to push the same record to table B. But where is table B? I am going to write the code over here to push the record to table B. How? I told you ServiceNow gives us glide object, glide records, glide system. Okay. Variable gr. This can be anything, Pankaj, Swapnil, it can be anything. My name, meaning full name, glide record equal to new glide record. Even we did this thing. I was specifying, I almost specified the table name last time. Now, one thing. Table B. What is the actual name of table B? How to find out? Go here. This is Paris instance. Copy. Now we don't need the Quebec instance. We are going to C, Control C, Control V. Remove this. Control A, Control V. Both the tabs have the same instance. Duplicate session. Okay. Now Yes, table B is Swapnil archive. This is the menu item. What is the exact name of the table? How to find? Click on new. Gray area, right click, configure table. This is the actual name of the table. Control C and Control V. Open a reference to table B is what this line means. Open a reference so that we can perform operations on this table. New glide record. Open a reference to this table. Store the reference in GR. Now here onwards, whatever operations we'll do will be with GR. Okay. GR dot initialize. If we want to create a new record in any table, table B is this for us. So initialize the glide reference like this. Otherwise, it won't create a new record. Initialize. Now, let us set the values. Gr dot. What are the values? So archive table. I want the column names. I click on new. Right click. This is the column name, PID. So gr.pid equal to, okay, or let us do by set value. Set value PID current records dot get value now. Current records get value. What value? Okay, go to this. Supply inventories. Suppose this is the current record number. Now, what does this mean? Set a value. Gr.initialize means I want to create a new record in this table. In this table, there is an attribute called PID. Set value of that PID column with what? With my current record. Whatever record has been created. This record after insertion of a record on this table. That record's value we will access like this from this object. Current dot get value number. Current object will have all the columns, but which columns value you want to fetch? Number columns value. Whatever we get in number, store that value in PID like this. From right, store it to left. From right, this value, store it to left. Right value, get it, set it in this. Okay, let us see if it works or not. If not, we will troubleshoot. Again, I want to set other attributes as well. Gr dot set value. Comma. What is the other one? Swapnil archive. PDESC, product description. PDESC. What to set in this field? Current objects dot get value. What fields value do you want? Open any record. Description. Description. Current records. Description. Now we also have one third variable, which is this. What is the third one? Product name. What is its name? P name. Gr dot set value P name current dot get value column name of that table, table B, control B. Table B. Table B's product name is P name. Sorry, this is P name and this is Swapnil inventories. Yeah, open any record. Product name. Product name. Okay. Okay. What does it say? Again, let us save this. And I have saved it. And just a minute. And this is how it looks. Now, revisit. What does it do? A business rule has been created on this table. What is the name of the business rule? Swapnil underscore push to archive. Okay. When this business rule will trigger? When we create, when we insert a record on this table. What will it do? It will execute the script. What does the script contain? The script first line. Okay. Current and previous are two readily available objects that we can use to access old and new values of the fields. Okay. Current means new value, previous means old value. Create a glide record, open a glide reference to table B. We have to initialize to create a record in it. But what values do we have to set in the column of this table is what we are doing. Set value to PID column of our table B. But what value to set? My current record which has been created. Take its number field and store it in this. Similarly, the current record that has been written to the database, that records description, store it in table B's P description. Similarly, the product name of the newly created record, take it, store it in P name field of my table. And then insert. Will insert a new record in table B. Let us test it. If there is any problem, it won't do it. So let's do it. Let's do one thing. I'll write it like GS. Glide system is a readily available server-side object given by ServiceNow. GS. We can print the logs like gs.log, right? We can put a message in the banner like this, add info message. Record also pushed to table archive table is what we will print in the banner. Now it looks good. Let us give a try. If it doesn't, we will do some changes. Okay. Only difference is ideally it should be under Swapnil scope. By mistake, we created it in global scope. Then also just check if it works or not. If it doesn't, we will change the scope. Now, Swapnil inventories come here. Delete the garbage data. We don't need this. We will create our own. Okay, create a new record in table A, which is Swapnil inventories. Auto generated. This will be pushed to table B's PID. Product name can be anything. Okay. 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 Control C, Control V. Let's not worry about the other fields. What are the fields in question? PID, product name, P name, and description. These three fields should be pushed to that form. This we have to keep it open for troubleshooting if it doesn't work. This is table A. I haven't yet submitted. Let us open here as well, table B, so that we can just refresh and check if it is actually creating the values. Does it contain any data? No, not yet. All right. So let us submit it. Did you see? Good that we got this error. So do some changes, copy our script, disable this. Once the business rule is created, we cannot change its scope. Disable this. Save. All right. I want the backup of this, so I'll do Control A, Control C, paste it somewhere in the notepad so that I don't lose it. Control V. Now, this is disabled, this will never run. Copy the name, Control C, go to create business rules, system definition business rules, change the scope to Swapnil, Where did it go? Yes. We are in the correct scope. Business rule, system definition, business rule. Now going ahead, if I create a new one, it will pick up the scope as Swapnil application, which we expect. Yes, paste the name and let it be like one so that we can differentiate 1, 2, 3 on this table. Inventory, this, advanced, where is our script? Control A, Control C, Control A, Control V. Back. Everything we have except this. After insertion of a record in this table, perform these things. Now let us see what happens. Rest of the things are good. Yeah, submit. Yeah, create a new record. Product name, anything. Now, what will happen? Record also push to archive table. Where is that archive table? We got let us refresh, and yes, it is here automatically. Let us create one more. I'll go here and create a new one. Submit. Record also push to archive table. Let us refresh. Who didn't follow this? See, after insertion of a record in this table, perform some action. What action? Also push the record to table B. What is table B? Our archive table. Archive table. Okay. So what can we do in the script? Open a glide reference to table B so that we can also push the record to that table. Initialize it so that we can create values, a record. Now, after initialization, I want to set values to the fields of table B. Table B's field are PID, DSC, CNAME. Set value function. This is out of the box given by ServiceNow function of glide system class. We can call set value get value. Alternatively, what I could have done like this to make it more simpler. This is optimal, but Alternatively, I'll show you how it can be done. If it seems complex, I'll comment it out like this. How to comment? See, whatever is in green will never execute. Whatever is in green will never execute. Okay. So why do we use this commenting? To put a comment who is doing the coding on what date and time. How to do a single line comment? See, green. Creating like this. How do we put comment? Best practice. We give the date 10 July 21. PJ is Pankaj. What comments Pankaj is giving? Like this. PJ. Enhancing the existing script to make it appear simpler. In real time scenario, in when you work in a company, it's not like when you develop something, you will be in that company forever. No, you people have a habit of switching over to different companies. Then, if someone else takes over the charge and sees this business rule, that person should be able to understand why the code was written, when it was written by who. That's the reason this is the best practice we follow to put proper comment in the code, right? Okay. Now, after this, we can do one thing: get value of number, description, and product name. So create temporary variables where uh, prod id, declare a variable. Tell the system that I want to use some temporary variables where rptn description, where prod nm, they hold nothing, just declared, right? They have nothing, garbage values. Okay, I want to store something in this. I want to take values from the current record. I want to store in them. Okay, so I'll say prod id control C equal to current dot get value this control C. Yes, description control C control B equal to current dot get value description this prod nm control C control V equal to current dot get value product name control C. These three lines, what do they mean? In this temporary variable, store the new records number field, store in this, right to left, store in this value, right side, store the description, whatever contains the field contain, store that value in this variable. So up till this point they had no values, but now after executing this line they will contain value. The current object product name will go to prod nm. But now what next? Hmm. Gr dot set value okay, yeah, PID control C control V in PID field of my table B, store a value. What value? This value contains, right? This value. Now looks good. Similarly, gr dot set value PDSC in this field of my table B, store a value. What value? That I have captured in this variable by writing this line. Control V. Gr dot set value product name P name. Control V. Store a value. What value? Which I have captured in this. Control V. And then, okay, declare variable, store current values in them, and then do you see the set value looks much simpler? Here we were using get value in the same line. Ideally, that's how optimal code should look like. But to make you understand what is this, I have done this. Take variable store, then this. When we use variables, we won't use quotes because that would be dynamic. Okay. Hereby I am using quotes. This is static. This is a field name. Doesn't contain any value. This is a field name. Field name. P name PDSC. Field name of what table? Table P. This if I put it as 1, 2, it won't work. Okay. It has to be exact. These are variable names. These I can change from here. If I change it over here like this, then it should also be changed over here, else it won't recognize it. All right. Okay, fine. After doing this thing, we will insert and put this message. Control C, Control V. Looks good. Let's lift it up, remove space like this, though not necessary. Okay, and then insert it. This is our compact code which does all the things. Let us do it. Save. Did we do any mistake? Make sure. Declare, store, whatever comes in from this set value, this. Yeah, I don't think that is mistake. If there is, we will troubleshoot. So now let us go to software inventories table A. Let us create a new one. Okay. Sample. Our product is Dove. We are saving it. It doesn't exist over here. Does it exist in table B? No. Let us see what happens. Record also push to archive table is the custom message, a custom message that we have written in the business rule. Otherwise, it won't display any such thing. It's only if we want to display something, we will write this. Yes, Dove has been pushed to table B. I showed you two ways. The optimal is the one we did before. This is the one. Why? I will tell you. Here we are using extra variables. We are utilizing RAM, right? Because it's a temporary variable, it will hold some values, and when we take anything temporary, it consumes RAM of the server. Okay, that's the reason I showed you this thing. As much as possible, right? Try to use such dynamic values. Try to avoid usage of redundant variables, unnecessary variables, right? So that's how it is. Anyone didn't follow? Any question? Hope today we have full strength. I didn't see that.
Pankaj, on
Mhm.
what are the different options and when to use? Can you go up? Uh,
Yes, over
there
here.
is when to run, yeah. When?
Yes. See, we are going to see examples.
Okay.
Before we saw after. After insertion of record in my table A, I wanted to push the same record to table B. That's the reason I selected this. Okay.
Okay.
Now one more use case. Uh, Before I create a record in table A, I want to make sure necessary required fields are entered. If no, then the record will not be returned to table A. Forget about table B. I am talking about only table A, the current table in which I am going to create the record. That is this table. I will not allow an entry to this table until one enters the product name. Can I achieve this? Yes, I can. We will print an error message in red in the banner. How to do it? Let us see. Now, we saw this use case. Let us disable it. Otherwise, we will get confused. This is done. After insert is done, let us disable it. It will never run until I activate it again. Okay, got. I will create a new business rule. New. Anything. Swapnil, check prod name. NAME. This is the name of my business rule. Table, we know it should be table A. That is Swapnil inventory. I have clicked on it. What happened? Yeah. All right. Now, someone asked about this. When to run. We saw after already. On before. Before even writing record to this table. Forget about table B. We are the table in question is even before writing to this table, we have to do some validation before insert. What to do? Check if product name is null or not null. How to check that? A small script. Mm, Variable declare. Tell the system I am declaring a small variable. I am storing current dot get value. What is it? The actual column name. Just a minute. I'm getting a call. Yes, I'm back. Get value, we want the actual value of, is this Swapnil inventory? Yeah. Open any record to find out the column value. This should be product name or, okay, product name. Fine. Get the value, get the value and store it in this variable. And then check, did it return any value to this variable? How to check? If PNM. If PNM means if this variable contains some value, perform whatever we write in between these two curly braces. If it contains value, then perform this thing. If the variable contains value, perform a set of actions that we write inside the braces. If I do like this, if I put an exclamation, it will be like if it doesn't contain value, reverse. If it doesn't contain value, in that case, throw an error. How? Glide system object, a ready-made object given by ServiceNow, as I said. Add error message. Product name cannot be blank. And then after printing this, okay, first let us run this much of code to check if it throws the error or not. And then we will see after throwing the error if it really saved the record or no. We wanted to prevent it from saving. Let us see. I have a doubt. After giving error, it will save the record, which we don't want. Let us see. We'll do some testing. Okay, revisit. Before writing a record to the table, what table? My table A. I want to make sure if product name is entered in this field or not. If it is not entered, throw an error. Saved. Let us create new record. Product number auto generated. I will not fill this. I will fill only unit price, description, summary. I'll try to save it. I have kept this blank. Oh, if you remember, we created a client script as well to test this, right? It all depends how we want to validate it. If you want to do this highlights and all, you can go with client scripts, cosmetic things if you want to do. I just want to throw an error. I will go back to the client script. I'll disable the client script so that it doesn't mix up. False. Check prod name is the one throwing it. Double click on cell edit. This is on cell edit I'm doing. When I directly without opening the record, when I do like this, it is called on cell edit. Saved. I didn't have to open the record. Simply from this window, from the list layout, I modified it. Now, where is it? Let us go back. Okay. Not this. Yes. Product name, blank. Unit price, description, summary. Yes. I want to save this without giving prod name. I got the error as expected, but did it actually save the record or no? We don't know. Let us see. 1114 with unit price 89 was saved or not. Yes, it saved the record. This is not something we want. So how to prevent it from saving after giving the error? Return false. Save it. Saved. Blank. Save. It will give error, but now 1115 should not be saved ideally. Okay. So now if we go to the table, we should not find an entry for this 1115. Okay, it's saved, right? Yes. What did it do? If it is blank, throw an error, return false. Let me quickly check. Add info message, add error message. Do we have anything called about? There is something called about session username hours ago. No, about we will have with glide record. Okay. Ideally, this should work. Not sure why this didn't work. Did we save this? I have used this many times this way and it has worked. Let's see. Yeah, ideally it should work. Delete the garbage records. Okay. So leave it blank. Give something. Give something. And then if I save it before insert, it checked. But then did it? No, this is not we expect. Let me check. Return false. Add error message. Okay. Not means it doesn't contain a value. In that case, it is throwing. This is correct. we want to stop it from save. Do we have any other option? ts dot between and debug error. Let us say this as well. Let's see. Generate to event queue message. That session native was info debug. Save it. Doesn't work. We will start from this point tomorrow and do some groundwork. What is it? What's stopping it from happening? Okay. This has been saved. Create a new, keep it blank. Save it. Did it save? Yes. No worries. So I'll do some troubleshooting on this and we will continue from this point tomorrow. It will be easy, no problem. Right? Scripting is huge in ServiceNow. We do it at some point of time. After a few months, if we don't get to work on it, sometimes we forget, right? So yeah, don't worry about this. I'll show you how to prevent it from saving in the record database. Okay. So I think we have 5 minutes. Up till now, whatever we saw, parent to child, data push and all record creation. How do we create a glide reference? What is current and previous? Do you have any questions around this? Whatever we saw scripting and all before. Tomorrow I'll also show you after insert. What did we see? Push to child. But after that, we can also trigger a notification. How to trigger a notification from a business rule is what we will see tomorrow. Okay. How to prevent it from writing. Return false didn't work for us. We will see tomorrow how to do it. Okay. So we will stop here today. Any questions? Swapnil, Lokesh, Kalyani, Dipali. Any question?
Not from my end, Pankaj.
All right. I'll share the recording in the evening. Okay. Tomorrow, let's start from the same point. All will be good. Okay. Thank you very much for your time. I'll stop the recording now.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks, Pankaj. Bye.